my whole thing is I want to use my training and not go to jail. If I'm just going to go to jail for using my training, I might as well just pull a gun out and shoot somebody in the head. Now I want to just talk about three of the main triangles that make up the TRITAC principles, whether it's armed, unarmed, or even jitsu. It's all the same principles, and the three triangles. The first one, obviously, is the use of force continuum that we use. A lot of people overlook this in regular sport fighting. It's not an issue at all because it's sport fighting. There is no repercussions for not following the use of force. Traditional martial arts don't even have it because when they were really made, there was no fucking law, or they just don't even give a shit. But in our society today, especially with litigation, my whole thing is I want to use my training and not go to jail. If I'm just going to go to jail for using my training, I might as well just pull a gun out and shoot somebody in the head. My whole thing is I want to use all my skill sets and not go to jail. So that involves me being able to slide up and down the use of force continuum and being able to articulate it so I don't go to jail and know when I'm in the right and wrong and know how to articulate the law and stay out of jail using my training. Now, if you're training somewhere and they don't give a shit about that, then I would say run away, because if we're talking weapons and using weapons and that's not part of the whole package in your martial art, that is a major problem. And as an ex-New York City cop, I tell you right now, that is one of the most important things that you need in your arsenal is education of the law. Without that, it's like you're setting yourself up for disaster. And now everybody has their own penal law for their state, so you're going to need to understand your own penal law for your state. But being armed with the knowledge of the penal law and how the law works is something very powerful and 100% necessary. If your coach or teacher doesn't have any idea about how the law works, that's a fucking problem, okay? And you need to address it either on your own or go somewhere that does. Because if they're teaching you how to kill and shoot and do all this and they have no idea about the repercussions of your actions, you're setting yourself up to just go to jail and lose everything you've worked your whole life for. So as a cop, I've seen it, and I've seen people make big mistakes, and I would highly recommend that you understand the law. And this program is about teaching you the law and the use of force continuum. We do it based on the penal law for New York State, but it can be adapted to any penal law for any state that you happen to live in. The first triangle is the use of force continuum, and that we break down again into three pieces, which is soft force, which is all about de-escalation and kind of getting out of the situation. Physical force, which is actually putting your hands on somebody and doing the actual unarmed techniques. And then deadly force, which would mean using deadly physical force, which might be like crushing somebody's throat, or any kind of thing would take their life empty-handed, or application of weapons. Now, anytime I use an edge weapon or a projectile, I'm already at deadly force. So I don't use those to wound. I use those because I'm in fear of my life, and somebody has the opportunity, and my life is in jeopardy, and I'm using that to save my life. So there's no, you have to understand when you're in deadly force, you are using deadly force because your life is in danger, and you're never using deadly force to just wound. So when we get into the knife and the gun world, we're already at that level. So the real trick with the use of force continuum is knowing when to slide up and slide down. Just like with your fighting techniques, you need to be able to go up and down. Otherwise, you're going to be the one going to jail. And this is where being in a ring and being on the street are a lot different. The rules of engagement are different because there are no rules. And the fact that you have to take into consideration the use of force and the use of force continuum is a reality on the street. It's not in the ring, and it's not in traditional martial arts. So these things all work together, and that's why self-defense is a different world than MMA or sport fighting and traditional martial arts. Self-defense, you need all the different facets, which are empty hand, use of force continuum, armed, unarmed. They all work together in cohesion, but a lot of arts don't even address that. So our first major triangle is the use of force. Soft force, which is de-escalation and avoidance. Physical force, which is actual physical techniques. And then deadly force, which is I'm taking somebody's life because my life is in danger.